Hey everybody, my name is BDF44 and I'm coming at you with another video. Thank you for clicking on my face. So, today I want to talk about a few things. Obviously the world is still talking about what's going on with the racial revolution, more or less. There's a whole lot of support coming our way, and I, as a black person, I truly appreciate it. Before I get started in my video, please do what you can to get educated about the concentration camps that these children are in. Various parts of this country, sanctioned by our very own government. Kids are disappearing, they're being treated badly, conditions have been reported to have been unhealthy, and that's putting it very kindly. Kids have been molested, and people aren't being held accountable. All kinds of really screwed up stuff is going on in these concentration camps or detention centers or whatever they're calling them. So please get yourselves educated on that, and if you're in a position to let your voice be heard about that, please help those children out, okay? Just because they're undocumented does not mean they should be treated like anything less than human. And since we're on our human rights tip, there's no reason why we shouldn't be fighting for this. So that's the first thing I want to say. But the second thing I want to get into here is I just saw a photo. I don't know what it was from. I didn't do my due diligence to find out really the origin of it, but it's just a photo that someone put up and just kind of took me down this rabbit hole that I kind of wanted to share with y'all. So it's a picture of these individuals, white people of some sort. I think they're high officials of some sort. They're all kneeling. They're all wearing kente cloth, you know, the traditional African cloth around their necks. They got their heads down. They're wearing their mask, and they're kneeling for us. And I think the spirit of the gesture is to be interpreted as a positive and a peaceful one. But I, as a black person, have to say this. Thank you, first of all, for trying. Your efforts are not lost upon me. For anybody who's trying to come out of a racist mindset or trying to understand things that don't pertain to them as it pertains to our community, hey, your enlightenment, even if you're not quite on time, is something that we welcome. We want you a part of what we're doing. We don't want to leave you in situations that make you feel uncomfortable or as if you can't continue to thrive. We just want to get a piece of the pie, and we want to be treated fairly, and we want the system that keeps us underneath your fingertips to be eradicated, and something that includes everybody, and something a little more modern can carry America forward, and then we can truly be great again. That's what I think most black people want if they are sane and if they have a good spirit. Black supremacy is not something we want. It's not something I want. It's not something I'll go for. Supremacy is bad for this country. Equality, divvying up power and assets and opportunities to get education is the goal. Equality is the goal, not supremacy. So I wanted to say that, and everybody I've spoken to is on one accord with that. The best of us don't want no supremacy, so let that be understood. I think a lot of times, because so many people are so distant from one another in terms of blacks and whites, a lot of times we don't know what each other need. We don't know what makes each other tick. We don't know what frustrates one another. And sometimes we just tend to do things toward one another that isn't interpreted properly. And I think that this picture is another one of those things. Like, look, I'm an African American. I have roots in Africa, New Guinea, to be exact. There are other areas that I think my family's from, but I definitely know New Guinea. I know that I come from the Moors. Okay, that's where my African ancestry comes from. I have white in my family. A lot of Irish, I believe, is in there. Maybe some French. Certainly some old school 1770s slave owner from England. All of that stuff, it's in my blood. I got a lot of that. It's there. Okay? My ancestors were both slaves and slave masters. Okay? And Native American blood. Plenty of it. My great-grandmother on my mother's side, half Native American. My grandfather on my father's side, half Native American. So I have a lot of Native American blood. Blackfoot, Choctaw, Cherokee is what I've been told. That's what's in there. So when you wear tiki cloths to represent me, you're only representing about 70% of who I am. You're missing the white part, you're missing the red part, and I said all that to say I love my African African ancestry, but you don't need to wear a tiki cloth to represent me. Okay? That's not tiki cloth. You know what I'm trying to say. The African garment, you don't have to wear that. So that's something. That first thing I want to say. The second thing is, you don't have to kneel for me. You don't have to bow to me. I don't want supremacy. I don't want to be worshipped. I believe in God. I know who He is. If I receive any worship that's supposed to come to Him, I believe He's going to hit me with the worst of things. I don't want that on my spirit. That's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this situation with these kids over there in these ICE detention centers, because I don't want that on my spirit. And if I were a white person, I wouldn't want slavery on my spirit. I wouldn't want white supremacy on my spirit. This is bad karma. All of this stuff that keeps people down and makes people suffer for the benefit of others is bad for those people who benefit from it. It's bad for you. This brings about something that you deserve that isn't so good, that should be down the pipeline. You don't want that at all. It's just spiritually. You don't want bad karma. And all of these things that make others suffer brings about bad karma. If you believe in that sort of thing, I do. Not because I read it in a book, because I did some stuff and bad things happened over and over again, tenfold even, that made me understand that this whole universe comes back around thing is something to take very seriously. So I don't want to overindulge, because I'll have to suffer for it later. Don't worship me, buddy. I don't need that. And don't patronize me. As an African American, I speak for anybody that agrees with me. We don't like when you try to tell us that symbolizing symbols and gestures are good enough, and that I'm supposed to embrace all that you are and leave it at that. Now, your actions speak a lot louder than your words and your symbolism. Put your money where your mouth is. Get off of your knees and go write some legislation that'll put me in a position to not have to worry about whether or not I'm going to get beaten or shot or knelt upon to my death in these streets. Put something in legislation that allow me to be able to get education for my children without finding that they are being steered in a different direction because of their skin color and because of what type of money I make. Put us in a position so that I can afford housing without having to work 10, 11 jobs, obviously exaggerating, but you know what I mean. Put us in positions to where we're not underneath the system that has been set up for us to fail and set up for you to hoard all the damn money in land. Divvy up some of that. That's how you respect me, not by worshiping me, not by kneeling for me, not by patronizing me and saying all types of yo, what up, bros, and all that good stuff. You don't have to be anyone but yourself. Just be the best version of yourself by giving up some of that power. And don't be afraid of what it looks like for black people to have some of that power. We are not savages. We are not the type of people that want to see you underneath our thumb. We don't want to do to you what you did to us. There are people out there who do, who look like me. They will disagree with me and call me a coon for saying this. But the majority of the individuals out here, they feel the way I do. We don't want black supremacy, man. It's not good for anybody for any supremacy. Okay? There's still many, many, many other people out here, races of people who are proving their allegiance to us right now. That is not the way to return that favor, by mimicking you. No, we want everybody to have an opportunity. I want to see people of all different creeds and colors continue to thrive. And people who are thriving right now to continue to still be able to. But I also want a piece of the pie of my own. I want to be able to put forth all the energy and all the effort that I have in my soul and be able to get the results that you'll get if you put out that same effort. That's it. And I think you guys got a good enough head start, 400 years of saving money, 400 years of cheap labor, 400 years of building equity and all different stuff, to where you can start to divvy out some of that stuff so that we can have a few more individuals that are living more comfortably out here. I don't think that's too much to ask. Let people out of jail for stuff that they shouldn't be in there for. You know damn well white supremacy has kept a lot of us in jail for reasons that we shouldn't be in there for. Get some guys out. This is not hard to do. You don't have to kneel and put on cloth. No. Get your ass up and do right by us. That's it. And then when you start to do right by us, we'll start to allow you to understand us a little better, and then you'll know that some of the stuff that you do is just tone deaf and not necessary and completely outside of what it is that we want at all. It's that absorption that I think white supremacy suffers from the most above all else. It's just an absorption, and I don't think I'm saying that word right, but it's just being completely engulfed with one's own perspective, not having any sense of what anybody else is going through. It's almost like a lack of empathy, or dare I say even sociopathic energy that comes from that. It's like, well, if it doesn't affect me, it doesn't affect anything I care about, it doesn't matter. And then the consequences of that fall on all of us. And then they have a terrible reputation because of that callousness. It's time to stop all of this. If you can't see how black supremacy is bad for you and white supremacy is bad for you because it creates so much animosity from everywhere of people who both want that power and need that power or some of that power, then you can't possibly be fit to lead. If you can't see the fruit in divvying out more of the pie. And taking accountability, hand in hand. Obviously, our country has done a lot of stuff we're not proud of. Some of that stuff we don't want to rehash, but we have to settle because there are people walking around who are still suffering because of some of that stuff. And that's the reality of it. If all of the injustices and the nonsense stopped, then you would have a greater enough argument for leaving the past in the past. But we can't leave the past in the past if we're still making the same decisions. I would call them mistakes, but they're deliberate. You haven't changed. And I know change doesn't come easy, but we need you to pick it up, speed it up. We're tired. And that's all we've been saying. And we have a lot of support. None of our supporters, all these people who all over the world kneeling and holding signs and getting on the streets and putting their lives on the line in a lot of cases with this coronavirus out there. None of these people are fighting because they believe that we want to take over the world, that we want to leave all of them in the dust while we continue to thrive like you've done to us. No one of those people believe that. Because if they did, they wouldn't be fighting for our lives. So you shouldn't believe it either, white supremacy. We don't want what you've done. What you've done isn't working for you anymore because it's making you look bad and it's making the world hate you. It's time. It's just time to let go of stuff. Some stuff is just outdated, man. Sometimes we just got to realize that it worked for a while, but now we're in a new world. There's more people out here. There's more communication going on. There's more money in different people's pockets. Stuff that worked in the 1800s, things and ideals that you held on to in the past. If you haven't evolved, then you're stuck. The world is speeding past you, and you're still using the same formulas that you used 100 years ago. Do you not see the fruit in not doing so? That's what I ask. Do you not see the fruit in evolving? And that's why I say indulgence is no good for anyone, because this is what it's done to you. Because you've been able to say that you've been on top for so long, no one else has seemed to matter to you but so much. You haven't grown up. In 100 years, you literally have not grown very much. America? And the reason for that is because you have overindulged and absorbed yourself in your own comfort. Comfort makes you weak. And white supremacy is indeed comfort for you white people. Can't grow from comfort. One of the reasons why we're strong enough to stand up to you, even though we don't have the numbers, we don't have the money, we don't have this, we don't have that, is because we've been through so much that we trust ourselves to be able to get through whatever's next. You can't scare us with the next thing you're going to do, because everything you've done behind us has been so horrible. It's made us strong. You can't find that strength by continuing to hold on to power that you never deserved in the first place, that you should have never had, ill-gotten gain. And if you can't see the fruit, if you don't see the benefit of holding yourself accountable for yourself and your children and the future of this country, then again, you are not fit to lead going forward. Because we all see the fruit in that. I'm ready to own my mistakes. I don't want nobody bowing to me. I don't want nobody underneath my thumb. That's bad for me. And I see that clearly. You should too. With that being said, my name is BDF44. Save those kids. I'm out.